Hey guys, I'm Levi Gates and welcome back to Detox. I got my brother from another mother, Mr. Dylan von Kleist, in the house. How's it going, man?
Happy to be here again.
I am so excited to have him here. It feels like forever every time we don't get to see each other.
I know.
And now we're back, and it's awesome, and we hope you guys are going to love this. Today we wanted to talk about the future of detailing based on things like the car sharing stuff that is coming out. Now, this is still like super preliminary, so we're not like real fortune tellers here, but it's probably good, you know, we all just kind of armchair quarterback it and discuss ideas and things, because if you're just detailing in your shop and you are oblivious to this and maybe you don't read car magazines or, you know, stay up in the automotive industry, because I know a lot of detailers who do not do that.
They live in a bubble.
Is a job.
Their little detailing bubble.
They work on cars.
Yep. But nothing will ever change, right?
They don't learn about new cars. Or they don't know about, you know, that was like years ago when the Yes Essential Fabrics came out.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, hold on a second, these seats are really hard to clean. And then all of a sudden every manufacturer was using the same fabric. And it was like, oh no, everybody's seats are really hard to clean. You know,
you have to be ready for it, right? It's going to happen whether or not your shop adjusts. You just have to be ready for it.
Yeah.
Or at least be prepared to be ready for it, I guess. Be ready to be ready.
Be ready to be ready. Yeah.
And so,
like the Boy Scouts, always be prepared.
Exactly. It's interesting because there's ride sharing. The new one on the scene is the basically the subscription program. I think like Volvo and a few other, I think Porsche is involved in this, where basically it's like
Cadillac's coming out.
Yeah, Cadillac. It's basically you pay a service fee for every month, whatever it is. It's kind of like a lease, but it's shorter term, and you can just bring the car back to the dealership after so long, go, I want to try that one. And they go, okay, great, here's the keys. And then you just keep paying so you never ever pay a car off. You're never out from underneath your car note, but you can go in and get a new car as often as you want, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
But if you really kind of dive into that and start thinking, okay, it's popular enough that Volvo and Porsche and Cadillac, and you got to assume everybody's going to do it at some point or another, right?
Well, you think about it, it's like all the cell phone companies. Like that's basically what it is. You now rent your phone.
Yeah, you don't hardly anybody buys their phone anymore, and if they do, it's, you know, I don't know why you would, right? And then a year later it's outmoded and you want a new one, and so. But if we think about that, if nobody owns a car, you know, you don't technically own it anymore. It's like this leased thing. Are you going to pay somebody $3,000 to correct and code it? It's not yours.
Yeah. Or
you're going to get next week. You could decide to go take it into the dealership and go, you know what? I want the newer model. The dealership's not giving you any extra money back. They're like, oh, you had it detailed. Well, great. Let's knock some money off your monthly subscription. It doesn't work that way. It's just going to be, okay, here's another one, and then you're going to go do it again. So as detailers, we need to think about this, because if the owners no longer have a vested interest in preserving the car, why would you?
You don't. It's not yours.
It's not yours. Why would you? I mean, you just got to keep it from being completely destroyed when you turn it back in. It would be my assumption, much like your cell phones. You can't bring them in like smashed and broken in half. So does the dealership start to want these things? Maybe, I don't know. But this is the kind of things we want to think about, because if this catches on, and it already is showing, it's been quite popular with some of these brands, there's no longer a customer base that wants long-term protection. So everybody's riding the coding train right now, like woohoo, everybody on board, right?
Yeah, and that's
$3,000 details, yeah! Well, if that dries up,
so all of a sudden, let's say 5-10 years from now, and every manufacturer is doing this, and this is the norm,
then who's your customer base?
Yeah.
And can you shift? Can you take it from selling it to the person who owns or drives the car every day and sell it to the dealership?
Yeah.
That they're gonna, maybe you go to the dealership and you say, hey, I have this program where I will polish and I will put a protective coating on the car. That way when it goes out into the world and it's, you know, on this shared program and somebody wants to bring it back in, it's less likely to be an absolute nightmare for you to fix and then resell on your used lot or put into some other program. Maybe. But as we all know, dealerships are a little difficult to deal with.
Right.
It's hard to land those fleet accounts. There's no loyalty in that business whatsoever. As soon as the next guy shows up and does it for $5 less, that dealership will drop you like a bad habit.
Yeah, well, and you also think that like even that can go on with like the current lease setup, where, I mean, in reality, there are stipulations already set up that when you return a lease, there cannot be, you know, scratches cannot be this big. And
they give you a little cardboard thing almost where you like measure the size of the damage.
It can't be this big, but you can't have this many per panel. You can't have this many rock chips. This can't be done on the seats. And so there are a lot of folks who, because it's a lease, do all this stuff so that to protect it.
Yeah.
Once they've signed the papers on it, it's in their
they're on the hook.
interest.
Yeah.
Just like you get that cell phone, they try and sell you the case.
Yep.
Like, hey, here's a Pelican, here's an OtterBox, here's a
if
very
you drop this
industrial case so that it doesn't damage the phone. And there are people that go, well, I mean, yeah, wrap it up in the financing on the phone.
Sure.
Why not?
What's an extra couple bucks a month, right?
Or you're like me and you go on Amazon and you get a different, you find the
For a lot
you
cheaper.
get a cheaper case, but it's the same thing. But it's, mostly because I do like putting the clear film on it, and I like, doing that. So I guess it would depend really still on the customer and also what the manufacturer is going to request.
Yeah.
Because, they could easily say...
Yeah, just like Elise say, hey, if there's a scratch bigger than this or this happens, but we have this coating package that will prevent those things from happening, so you're not liable for it. So but we don't know.
It is a good idea to start thinking and get this in your brain so you guys can start thinking about, game plans as to what are you going to do and what services can you create and provide for dealerships. Maybe that is something that you already start doing with leases or new, it's just look at it as another.
Just diversify your customer base or your sources of customers, right? Don't be so dependent on, I'm going to just attack the, medium to high end car market in my area, and I'm going to sell every guy who's got a $50,000 or higher vehicle, value vehicle, a paint protection film, detail coating package, this and that. Because if Porsche all of a sudden starts appealing to guys who never had the money to buy one, but they could afford the subscription fee, maybe that's not your customer base anymore. Things will shift. Things will become very dynamic on you. And there's a lot of studies going around right now that are, if you do your research, that's saying most experts, and I'm not an expert, but I trust people who are, saying by 2020, we're going to start seeing this very rapid drop-off in car ownership because I hate the millennial generation is not a big car ownership group. There's a lot more ride sharing. They're moving to urban centers where there's public transport. There's all the things with, self-driving cars and all that, how that's going to tie into ride sharing. There's just going to be fewer people who have a vested interest in keeping a car perfect for themselves. Again, though, that doesn't mean that the company that owns all these autonomous self-driving cars that's going around doing the Uber or Lyft thing, maybe they want to keep them nice. So they're going to need more guys who are willing to come in and do express cleanup, not perfect the paint and make it show car, but so do you need to diversify your services to be a little bit more of a express wash and wax type, or have a package that suits that? You know? And
like the last time you were here, we were talking about like Uber and Lyft and those kind of groups and the packages to put together maybe that you could create for the drivers.
Yep.
And maybe reach out to Uber and Lyft and those things to provide that if you have a local shop, that these are the things that you can do for them, or you can give them a discount, because these drivers do have to keep their cars clean. I've noticed as I've been taking more and more as I've traveled, I'm noticing microfiber towels in the center console as they're driving their car. They've got a towel sitting there.
Because part of their compensation or their ability to book rides is the quality of the ride they provide, right?
Yeah.
And so that's, did you not get in an accident? Well, that's good, and was the guy polite? Did you show up on time?
The cars smell good.
The cars smell good, but there's a certain amount of things that go into that. So is the interior covered in like cookie crumbs and a spilt drink? Of course, you're gonna go, well, that was a 3-star ride, not a 5-star ride. If the car pulls up and it looks like it's been through a war and it's covered in mud and stuff, that's gonna be a negative thing, a perception for the customer. So these guys are very big on keeping the cars nice. I actually penetrated that Uber network and worked with them on developing a program in certain markets that was offered to the drivers. And it was just basically the idea of things that an Uber driver could do while pumping gas or while between rides, that they could clean up the car and just make it presentable for the next guy. Again, this isn't about, so many detailers get hung up on make it perfect. Everything needs to be perfect. Oh, that Prius is all swirled up. The common person riding in an Uber doesn't care about swirl marks, but they would care if it was covered in bird droppings and tree sap and the windows are all fingerprinted and stuff.
It just got through a rainstorm and it looks, and it's dusty and there's water spots all over it. Just rainwater spots.
You got to put yourself, it's hard for us as detailers to put ourselves in that position. You got to take a step back and kind of realize what other people see. Not other people, just the mass of humanity sees. We have detailer's eyes. You can't unhave detailer's eyes, unfortunately. Sucks.
No, they're there forever.
But you have to realize that people don't see the defects we see, but cleanliness is something everybody recognizes. So that's something that we want to help them focus on is, you don't have to have your business entirely tied up in making cars show car ready. It can be a little bit of both. You can do that, and you can also have these express packages that just offer clean and shiny, because everybody likes clean and shiny.
Yeah,
so
it makes it easier.
Yeah, and it's something everybody universally recognizes clean and shiny. Right. They may not recognize swirl marks. They may not recognize defects dull versus that, but they will recognize a clean and shiny car as being, oh, that's nice. So as a rideshare person, or as somebody who's doing one of these new, car turning programs that they're offering, you have to diversify your offerings within your business to compensate for what the market's going to do. And the studies are saying by 2020, everything's going to start changing. And so if you are not adapted to that, if you're not setting up your business to provide the services that market needs, somebody else will, and then you're going to lose that customer base, or your customer base is going to shrink, and then you're going to be playing catch up. So the only reason the reason we want to talk about this is kind of present the idea of like, hey, be aware of what's happening, not just in the detailing market, but the automotive market as a whole, as far as ownership and the types of cars people are buying, because it all has an impact on what detailers do.
Well, and one of the things something that I was looking at doing, just because in our area here in Idaho, believe it or not, there aren't that many Teslas. One thing you can do is purchase a Tesla charger. And if you purchase a Tesla charger from Tesla, you can mount it in your shop, and then they will also mark you on their map of potential charging points.
Yeah.
And as many of us get more and more cars, and as the future of electric vehicles start growing and growing and growing, it would probably behoove you to have maybe set up your shop. Don't just say like get a Tesla charger. I'm just saying set up a area with a 220 and things like that, so that you can charge vehicles, and maybe add that to your marketing ability. That hey, or set up something outside and go, hey, I'm a charging station for this, and tout that. And that was one of the things I looked at, was like, wow, I could set up a Tesla charging station outside of my business and set one up inside, and then customers who have Teslas, it tells them,
hey, there's a station here. Yeah.
And if it's inside of a detail shop, that customer can go, oh man, I can get my car detailed, drop it off.
Yeah.
Sweet, and it'll get charged while it's there. That's even better.
Brings up an interesting point too, because if you think about it, I mean, if a car is in your shop and it's runs on gas, it's an easy enough thing to refuel it. But if you got a Tesla in your shop and battery's low,
and you only got 110,
and the guy's not anywhere near a charging station. I mean, and it's not just Teslas. I mean, there's more and more electric cars, right? So
Dane's got one.
Yeah. So it's. What are you going to do for that guy? If he shows up and he's like, oh, I have almost no charge, my bucket of electricity, let me dump some in. Doesn't work that way, right? So, that's an excellent point. And it's actually something, again, it goes back to that, paying attention to what's going on in the automotive market. Other things like, small to mid-size SUV sales are up, large SUV sales are up, small, mid-size sedans and that stuff are kind of going away. Yeah. Families are buying SUVs more than anything because they need the versatility of getting the kids to soccer practice.
And the gas mileage is getting better and better on them, so it's making it more available.
But that means more square footage on every car that you got to deal with. So if you've been doing the same detailing package for everything and all the time, you go, okay, well, if it's a mid-size, it's this. Well, if you stop seeing that small car and you have that package still, shouldn't you be adjusting these other prices to kind of compensate for the types of cars you're seeing more of, right? You're going to do more volume in the kind of the mid-size SUV market. You should have your pricing very much dialed in on that, not sedans. Because if there's no sedan showing up, then why? It doesn't make any sense. So it's just, you don't have to be an expert in it, but it's very easy to, I mean, God, the internet's amazing, isn't it? You can do so much research on just market trends. You can read all kinds of things online. That's where I've learned about most of this stuff. Yeah. I want to know this for my purposes. I mean, who are we selling polishers to, and who's going to use those, and how are they going to use those is valuable for me. The same way it is for you guys selling towels. Who's buying them, and how are they using them, that kind of stuff. As the people who are actually performing the services and doing the labor in the field, you gotta be ready to be ready. You have to kind of see that trend before it hits. You don't have to change your business as soon as you hear that something might be coming, but just start formulating a plan for if that does come to be. If I start seeing that change, what's that mean to my business? Does it have an impact on me? And if it does, how would I adapt, or how would I change? I add or remove services? And to a degree, I think some guys are just kind of stuck in their little detailing bubble.
Well, and sad to say, a lot of guys are like that. Yeah. That's not something that they watch out for. That's not something that they look for. But again, just like in anything in your business, like you need to be aware of all the different aspects of it.
Yep.
And it's very, very simple and very easy for us to get into this just bubble where we just come in,
I do
almost
this.
like we punch a clock,
Blinders on.
work on what we've got, and we get it done, and all of a sudden that day has turned into a week, that week has turned into a month, and that month has turned into a year. And a year has gone by, and you're doing the same thing. And you haven't looked outside of it. It's very simple and very easy because of the nature of our business.
Yeah. It's repetitive.
Yeah, it's very repetitive, so we just come in, we throw in our headphones, and we work. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just there are days where you have to stop and you have to start
Look around a little bit.
Look around your shop, check it out, look and see what can I do that's better. I get, I used to get guys all the time that were like, literally would say, how do you get a Tesla in your shop? Like, I only got like 3. Ever.
There's not a lot of them around.
There weren't a lot around, and I've got a local guy here that is starting to do more and more. But that was one thing I looked at, was I was like, I wonder if I could do this and I could put this in, because I did have a couple electric like Nissan Leafs that came in that the city owned, and I was detailing them for the local power company, and they'd bring them in, and I was like, well, I'm gonna plug this in and see if I can charge it. It charged, but it doesn't charge very fast on a 110. And so I thought, wow, I could put a 220 in and I could get it set up. And that's what led me into thinking, like, so while the car's in here for 2 hours, it's only going to get a 20% charge. If it could be in here for 2 hours and get a full charge.
What a huge value add.
And it's just something, and I could just add it to that. All of a sudden, it makes it that much more beneficial for the customer.
Yep.
So that's what caused me to think, like, oh, I wonder, so it's going to cost me $200 to have an electrician come out to do this, $200 or $500, whatever it is in your area. But it was something small that I thought, well, I've done this many electric cars, total electric cars, this year. It could pay for itself. It could pay for itself pretty quickly. And then, I wonder how much this would be to add into it. And if you do the Tesla thing, you get the benefit of this. It's like, there's just little things that you can notice and look at, and that's kind of what it takes. If you haven't been down to a dealership, to just go wander a dealership.
Like, check out and see what's in the new cars. Yeah, see what you mean. You're not going to always see the newest model right away.
You don't have to buy the car when you walk on the lot. You can just say like, I'm just hanging out, just checking.
As soon as the shark realizes you're not there to buy anything, they'll leave you alone. I promise. But yeah, and it's if you even look at other industries, like if you were to take your car to like one of the quick lube places. They always do your oil change and they try and upsell you the air filter and they change your oil filter and everything. But universally, and I haven't used those places a ton, but every single time it's, hey, and we also topped off your wiper fluid. And they clean your windows for you and stuff like that.
Or they'll vacuum.
Yeah, they vacuum it out, right?
Check your air pressure.
So treat your detailing business the same way, and if, the car shows up and you can top off their wiper fluid, it's value add, right? But if it's an electric car and you can go, hey, I noticed you're down to 30%. And so we're going to go ahead and I topped the charge off for you. We plugged it in when we started, and it's full charge now for you. It's going to blow that customer's mind because it doesn't cost you a lot. I mean, obviously electricity carries a cost, and having the charging station for a Tesla there is all going to cost you something. But if you do a lot of them, what a huge value add. How much happier is that customer? Because it ultimately is a customer service business. Detailing, you do a service, but the customer service part of it is huge, right? You can't be a jerk. You have to do a good job, but all these other things you're going to do are what's going to set you apart from another guy.
Well, and you can advertise that.
Yeah, free charge.
Free.
Yeah, we'll charge your car while it's getting detailed. Bring it in at 1%. Just make sure it gets all the way in.
It's amazing the little things that can make a big difference in your customer's experience of your business. And it's being aware of those types of trends. One thing I always liked doing was I'd look at the cars that I was working on, or if a new car came in and I'd like certain things. And I'd always talk to my customers. I'd try and ask them, what are you doing? What's going on? And if they're bringing in a new car, or they're buying a new car, or they're getting ready for a new car. There are always guys that are like, I can't sell a coating. I just can't sell them. Nobody wants to buy them. Well, you're not educating your customers enough on that.
You're technically not selling a coating. You're selling the results of what the coating does to the customer.
So sell them, teach them the education of it. So that way when they do go buy a new car, they are
the first thing they're thinking about
is, oh, but Levi told me to do this, or Steve told me to do this, or I don't, no thanks, I don't want that. I don't need that service. I'm going to go to my detailer or my PPF guy, or I'm going to have them do it. And it is taking it away from the dealership, but it's you being a good business person that has educated your customer enough that that's what they think about. Or going, hey, every time you bring it in, we're going to be the dealership's giving you a free charge, because like our local BMW dealership has charging ports out front of their place. And so when you bring your car in, that's one thing they advertise. Like, hey, and you'll get a free charge.
Free charge out of it.
Why can't you do that as a detail shop?
You should be.
There is no rule that says you can't, so do it. Like, just pull in these extra aspects, because this industry is changing very rapidly.
Yeah, and it's all dictated. We're not in control of it. We're in control of things like the advances in technology that directly impact us. Newer polishers, newer towels, new chemicals, this, that, and the other thing. Those things the industry is detailing is in control of because we are developing them. But we are a dependent industry. Detailing, I don't care if it's boats, cars, RVs, planes, whatever it is, those industries are having their own things change, right? Different types of paints, different types of surface coatings, different surfaces, different things are happening. And when those changes are happening, they're not going around and asking the detail industry, hey, is it cool if we start using this paint?
Right.
They're going to just do it. If there's $1 to be saved or a performance benefit for them, they're just going to do it. So we have to be aware of it. So it's very simple also. I mean, be aware of the changes as a whole. Look at the automotive industry and the trends that are coming. I mean, keywords to look up after you watch this video. Look up auto subscription services and do all the reading you can on that to understand what that means to you, because that apparently, from all the experts for what they're saying and the trends that they're already seeing with the limited release of it, it's going to be very popular.
Yeah.
A couple $100 a month and you can drive whatever car you want and you don't have to be committed to it, and you turn it in whatever you want.
Yeah.
Holy crap, that's going to change things.
When I read Cadillac did that, like their platinum program or whatever it's called, I was like, wow, that's a pretty neat setup.
Great idea.
You can drive any Cadillac you want.
Yeah, you may have never been able to afford a Cadillac, but now you can for this amount per month, and you're not even committed to it for more than a year. I mean, literally every year, you just go get the newest version every year, right? But beyond that, and the electric car stuff and all the things that you can research yourself, do research on your individual market. You can use things even by, I'm not saying post a Facebook ad, but use it to start to figure out what demographics are in your area. If you use the geographics to start looking, use Google. There's all kinds of things you can do. Find out what's the percentage of electric car ownership in your 100-mile radius, whatever it is. Find out the average household income. Find out the average home value. I mean, all these things are very important. Research your market and understand what the trends are.
Other businesses do this.
Yeah, our house value is climbing.
Yeah.
And what type of houses are they building? If it's a new build area, are they building a lot of townhomes, apartments, full-size homes? What are they building? Because if they're building a lot of apartments, you're not going to see a lot of large SUV sales then, right? The people who are moving in are going to need something that fits in an apartment carport or a small apartment parking space. If they're building tons of single-family homes with 5 bedrooms and this and that, there's going to be a heck of a lot more Suburbans around.
Yeah.
Start to understand those trends. Start to understand the area that you work in. It's one thing to drive down the street and go, I see a lot of nice cars in my area. Well, that's one street that you drove down between your shop and your home every day, and you see the same cars all the time, right? We live in such a great time that it's so easy to get your fingers on this information. It's just a Google search away to figure out. You could learn everything about the average person that's in your area and what percentage of this and that and everything, and start to adapt and change your business to those things. And look at your current business model and those statistics and go, does that even make sense?
Yeah.
If you're offering, $5,000, high-end detail packages for a demographic where the median income does not support exotic car ownership, might not be the right business model. That might be why you're not selling that coating package. It's just priced beyond what they need. It's something that they don't want. But
that's just good business sense.
Yeah, it's business,
I mean, everybody talks about it, but detailers as a whole, I didn't go to college, so
college.
And a lot of us are like that, and so. I've got friends with degrees, masters in business administration and masters in international business and all this stuff. That's normal. They go, you have to check that. You check that. You look at this. You look at this thing. And so you need to do that to better yourself, to at least be able to see what you're doing. Because here in Idaho, we are going through a housing boom.
Yep.
There is not enough inventory, and they cannot keep building houses fast enough. The problem is, that market is going up. So the cost of houses are going up, and the median income in this state hasn't caught up to that. So yes, you could go, wow, look at all these houses, we got all these people moving in the areas doing great. Well, the problem is that there's not enough money for folks to be able to afford those new houses that they're building. So again, just because of the housing market's kicking butt, doesn't mean that the extra income, people have a lot of money.
So you have to take all these little pieces of data and start to paint yourself a picture of what Nobody's going to hand you this report. So you have to be smart enough to at least go, okay, houses are costing this much, median income is this, the average family size is this, they're building these kind of houses, and you can start to put all this together, and if you kind of think about it, you can start to paint a picture for it. So like you're using the example of Boise. So tons of houses, not enough of them, but the income isn't coming up. So my conclusion, if I don't live here and I can try and draw, people are going to start moving from other states to Boise. People that might have a little bit more disposable income.
We have.
Right? So then you start, then chase that rabbit hole. So you start looking down a path of, okay, well then what states are people coming from? Because I guarantee you that data exists somewhere.
Oh yeah.
Boise knows where people are coming from, and those states that are losing people know too, because everybody wants to keep people in their state, right? So if it turns out there's a whole lot of people moving in from a state with a higher median income, and people are coming in and snatching up these houses, well, you're not necessarily targeting the native Boise resident anymore. You're now targeting a person who's a transplant. Yep. And what do they look like? What are they moving in?
Or what are they used to from their area?
Exactly. So what kind of stuff is happening in that state? Yep. Why are they leaving there? Is it crowded? If it's California, they probably sold them a house for a lot of money. Yep. They probably are leaving because they want to get some more space. They want more value for their money, but it may be safe to assume they're coming with some nice cars.
And they're used to a detailer that set them up on a maintenance program.
Exactly. Yeah. So
all of a sudden that maintenance program that wasn't working now actually has a possibility of working.
Yeah. So I guess
the customer base.
The point is that nobody. You said we don't have a crystal ball. We can't see into the future, right? But what we can do is look at what trends are happening in the industries that impact us, and really, that's automotive. That's anything with a vehicle, right? But then you can learn so much about just understanding the markets you're in by researching. So for the love of God, people, do your research. Yeah. I mean, it's imperative. It's incumbent upon you to do the research in your market and figure out what's coming that might impact your business. So ultimately, if you don't, you will be kind of washed out when everybody else does.
And for those of you that are trying to look, and maybe go asking us where can we find this information? Google, seriously. But I mean, it can be as simple as picking up like a Car and Driver magazine or a Motor Trend magazine, because they keep their thumb on the pulse. And yes, publications are starting to die as a whole. Yep. But the automotive, the main automotive market for magazines stays pretty on top of their game. Yeah. And you can join their Facebook pages, their forums, their groups,
they release annual studies of the top selling car. They don't do more than just the best car and this the best performance sedan and this. They do trends. What sold most? What trim level sold most? All these things are available. All this information's out there. You just have to take the time and get it down to it's very granular. You have to kind of scoop it all up and sort it out and figure out, okay, I can make a decision based on these things. And
you don't have to do everything. Just keep an eye out of it, because like we said, 10 years ago, nobody was renting. Like if someone said, well, you could rent your cell phone from me. Yeah. From the cell phone company, you're like, per month. No, I'm just going to buy it. Yeah. Like, why would I rent it for $10 from you when I could buy it for $200 or whatever? Well, now that is the norm. Yep. It's very rare that people buy their own phone because that's just the deal. So just do the research, guys. So that's the basic, simple thing. Keep an eye open. Make sure you're aware of the trends in your area and how your market is changing. And dude, thank you for coming. This has been so much fun having you.
Always a blast.
I'm so excited. Dylan's here for a couple days. We're going to make a lot of videos. So hope you guys enjoy them. As always, subscribe. Comment below if you have some ideas that you want to share. Make sure you like this video. And for more info and more videos, stay tuned right here on the Rag Company YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.